What is up, guys? Paddy here from Triage, and today we are going to talk about the fact that you can potentially eat more and lose more fat, right? This is something that a lot of trainers, coaches, nutritionists online will use as a tool to sell their services. They'll promise you that, oh, you can eat more with my training, my nutrition, etc., and still get the results that you want, which for someone who is eating a lower level of calories, a lower amount of calories than they would ideally like, that sounds like heaven. If someone's promising you, oh, you can eat all these foods that you enjoy because you're going to be burning, thousands of calories every day, you're going to jump at that. So it's a great marketing tool, and it does actually have a physiological basis. And this is the unfortunate reality where when there is a physiological basis to the discussion, the argument, it's very easy to fall back on that, being like, oh, well, it happens because of this, so I'm not wrong in my marketing. But as a consumer, you are kind of being deceived. You are kind of being lied to because it's nothing magic, and people pretend or make out as if they have this secret hack, this secret tip, trick, whatever you want to call it, to really help them, or to help you rather, solve your diet, get these phenomenal results while eating loads of calories, right? So how do we actually go about understanding the fact that you can eat more and lose fat? Because surely most of you have probably heard by now of this calories in, calories out discussion, where you want to balance the calories you're eating with the calories you're outputting in terms of exercise, movement, etc. You want to balance the equation so that if fat loss is the goal, you are burning more calories or consuming fewer calories. Basically, you want to make that equation into a calorie deficit. You want to create a deficit of energy, whether it's through extra movement or less food coming in, or a combination of both. Conversely, if you want to gain weight, it's the opposite. You want to eat more and effectively move less potentially, so that you end up in a calorie surplus. Right. So you've heard that, you're going, what? How is this? This guy's telling me now that I can eat more and still lose weight. He obviously doesn't understand this calories in, calories out discussion, equation, whatever. And that's not the case. However, what is the case is that there is more to that equation than simply thinking of calories out as your exercise component. There's a lot of things that actually make up your metabolism that are affected both by what you do and also by what you consume, right? So it makes logical sense that if you were to create a bigger calorie deficit, you would lose more fat, or potentially you would lose that fat faster, all right? And it makes logical sense. Again, calories in, calories out, make a bigger deficit, more fat loss, faster fat loss. There you go, right? And while that's the case to an extent, it actually ignores the rest of human physiology, and it really shows a lack of understanding of how humans interact in the real world, right? Because you create this bigger calorie deficit, what generally happens is, well, one or potentially two things. The first thing is people just don't follow the diet, right? You're eating in 1,000 calorie deficit and you're going, I can't lose weight. And then you look at the diet and you go, yeah, you're eating in 1,000 calorie deficit Monday to Friday, but then you're starving on Saturday and Sunday. So you overconsume on those days. And as a result, your overall calories for the week, you're at maintenance or potentially even in a surplus, right? So we can't just go, burn more calories, you're going to actually lose more fat. Yes, on paper, that is the case, but in reality, people aren't able to stick to those kind of diets. So again, from the marketing perspective, a coach, a nutritionist, whatever, will tell you, oh, with my approach, you'll be able to eat more during the week and still get the results, right? And that's the case, but all they're really doing is solving the fact that you've been binge eating on the weekend, which is a positive, which is a good thing. I'm not saying that's anything bad. However, they're not selling you some sort of magic. All they're saying is stop eating in such a big calorie deficit Monday to Friday. And by virtue of not being starving, you're actually able to stick to the diet, right? So it's nothing magic. So you could potentially, again, eat more Monday to Friday and lose more fat as a result, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and it's a little bit harder to kind of quantify, it's not as obvious to most people, as, oh yeah, okay, if I actually average out my calories across the week, yeah, I'm eating 1,000 calorie deficit Monday to Friday, but on the weekend I'm eating X amount more, so I'm no longer in a deficit, I'm at maintenance or a surplus, right? That's pretty intuitive. Once someone points it out, you kind of go, okay, so that's the flaw in my logic. Cool, now I know what to do. Just don't diet as aggressively, stick to the calories across the week, create systems that allow me to stick to those calories across the week, etc. Right? Intuitive, obvious, pretty easy to understand. The next one, however, it's not as intuitive, right? Now, it is kind of intuitive, but it's also not. But when you diet, your metabolism does become impacted by the fact that you are eating less. There's a few different things that are impacted. First of all, it's the thermic effect of feeding. So that's the calories you burn just digesting your food. And that goes down because you're simply eating less food. Not a huge caloric component, but it does contribute, right? We also see reductions in the fact your body weight. So even just moving around, you are moving less weight. So if you weigh 100 kilos, you lose a couple of kilos, you're no longer weighing 100 kilos. You no longer have to carry around 100 kilos. You now have to carry around 90 kilos. So for the same given unit of activity, you're burning fewer calories, right? So a few other things do get impacted, but the things that really also get impacted that actually have a really big effect. Everyone likes to focus on your overall like basal metabolic rate, any of these like deep physiological adaptations that occur. But the reality of the situation is the things that get impacted probably the most in a calorie deficit are your exercise activity thermogenesis, so your EAT, and then your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Both of those things go down when you're dieting unless you're actively trying to keep them up, right? So what often happens, and this is where people sell, oh, I can get you to eat more and, still be able to lose fat, right? They get someone who has been aggressively dieting for a number of weeks, right? And they've probably been able to stick to the diet. They're in a position where I can stick to the diet. I'm doing it Monday to Friday, but I'm also doing it Saturday and Sunday. So I'm staying on point with the diet, and it was working great at the start, but now it's slowed down a lot and I just can't eat less food. I'm already on very low calories. I just don't know what to do, right? And then someone comes up with the clever marketing and says, we're going to put in an extra 500 calories or whatever it is, right? They're going to put in some extra food in the diet. And all of a sudden you start going, wow, I'm losing fat again. This guy, he's a genius. He's changed up my training program. He's changed up my diet. I'm eating more and I'm losing fat, right? And there's nothing magic about this. All that's realistically happened is they potentially changed up the training program. So now that you're burning more calories in a given workout and you're now eating more so you can actually fuel that workout, and as a result push harder in the workout and thus burn more calories in the workout. Because you have to remember the calories are actually fueling the training. So if you are eating nothing effectively, you're not going to have really productive training sessions. And you can take all the caffeine you like in the world, it's still not going to make up for an excessive deficit of energy, right? And then we also see people who have been chronically dieting, people who have been dieting for a longer period of time, their non-exercise activity thermogenesis goes way down, right? You could normally on a given day, you could be doing maybe 7,000 steps, right? And then you chronically diet for 12, 20 weeks, whatever it is. And now you look at your activity, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, you're not moving around as much. It's a little bit harder to track that stuff, but we can look at your daily step count and it's gone from 7,000 down to 1,000. You're now doing a whole bunch less activity on any given day because you're not taking as many steps throughout the day. So I'll come in as the marketing genius, this coaching genius, say, okay, we're going to change up the training program, we're going to add in more calories, and we're also going to get you to track your steps. And now you're going, oh, I was eating 1,500 and I was struggling to lose weight, and now I've got a really comprehensive, coherent, ideally properly designed training plan, and I'm tracking my steps. So my NEAT, my non-exercise activity thermogenesis, is now standardized, and all of a sudden you're eating more and losing fat, right? It's not magic, despite what people will market to you. It's just simple, right? It's just simple, calories in, calories out. You're just changing the variables within those components, calories in, calories out. And if you have a deeper understanding of what goes into that, you can manipulate them in a little bit more of a nuanced manner rather than just going, oh yeah, I'll just eat less and move more. Like, yeah, that's the case, but you have to look at what's actually happening there. What does eat less actually look like? Are you getting sufficient protein? Are you getting sufficient fruits, vegetables? Are you eating enough to actually fuel the training? Are you eating in the same amount, or roughly the same amount across the whole week? Or are your calorie levels up and down and all over the place so that you end up evening out at maintenance, right? And then on the calories out side of things, you have to look at your training, your day-to-day activity, and all these other kind of things, right? So in a good, well-designed training program, well-designed lifestyle, all that kind of stuff, if you've got a good cohesive plan, you're going to have all of those things looked after. You only ever fall victim to this kind of marketing if you find yourself in a position where you've been too aggressive with the calorie deficit and you haven't been tracking all these variables. You haven't been able to stick to the diet because the diet is not well structured, or it's not well set up, and or you are now doing just less activity. You are burning less calories because you're not as able to train hard in the gym, and you're not doing this non-exercise activity thermogenesis as a result of not having calories. So if we simply add some more fuel to the body, magically you start burning more calories because you actually are able to train hard and move around, and as a result you lose fat. You don't need a coach to tell you how to do this. You can do this yourself. Just track your calories, track your activity, your daily expenditure. You don't have to use like a watch or a smartwatch, smartphone, any of those kind of things to do it. You just need to keep track of your training. You need to keep track of your daily expenditure and keep the variables in the place that you want them to be in. And as a result of that, you'll be able to eat more and still lose fat. There will come a time when you have to reduce calories further, but you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you've been chronically dieting unsuccessfully for months at a time. If that's you, you're probably going to do much better with a block of training, a block of dieting where you simply eat at maintenance and you really focus on getting good, healthy habits in place, your exercise routine, your diet structure and setup, and all of these other things like your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, your general lifestyle practices. And while we're working on that, ideally, you'd also work on your sleep and stress management. You do that for a month, 2 months, 3 months ideally, and then when you actually go back to dieting to lose fat, you keep all of those things in place. It's going to be much, much easier to actually get the results that you want, right? So I've been Paddy from Triage, and that's how people market to you how to eat more to lose more fat. And that's also how you can kind of use that idea, that overall concept, to actually structure your training, diet, nutrition, lifestyle in a better way so that you can lose more fat in future. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of those things. It really does help the channel. I know everyone says it on YouTube, but it really does help the channel. It really does help us get out there, get these videos to people that actually want to see them. Anyway, guys, we will see you in the next one.